welcome to History in Flames. Empires rise and fall, the past comes alive in fire and ash. Subscribe and relive the stories that shaped the world. December 1944. Europe was frozen in the grip of winter. Snow fell thick across Belgium and Luxembourg, covering the Ardennes forest in a quiet, deceptive calm. To the Allies, victory seemed close. Paris had been liberated in August. German armies were retreating on every front. In London, newspapers predicted the war might be over by Christmas. But Adolf Hitler had other plans. From his bunker in the Reich Chancellery, Hitler conceived one last desperate gamble. He would strike through the Ardennes, the same forest where, in 1940, German panzers had broken through French defenses. His goal was bold, almost insane. Smash through the Allied lines, seize Antwerp, split the British and Americans, and force the Western Allies into a peace settlement. If it worked, the Reich might survive. If it failed, Germany would be finished. In secret, Hitler gathered nearly 500,000 men, 1,200 tanks, and 2,000 artillery pieces. The plan was codenamed Wacht am Rhein, Watch on the Rhine. On December 16th at 5:30 in the morning, the silence of the Ardennes was shattered. Thousands of German guns opened fire. The ground shook. Shells rained on American positions. Fog and snow grounded Allied aircraft. In the chaos, German infantry and panzers surged forward. Entire American units, unprepared and thinly spread, were caught in the onslaught. Roads clogged with retreating soldiers and terrified civilians. Towns fell one by one. Within days, the front line bent backwards, creating a great bulge in the Allied lines. The name of the Battle of the Bulge, was born. The Germans had surprise on their side, but the Americans had grit. At small towns like St. Vith and Clairvaux, small groups of GIs fought stubborn delaying actions. They were often surrounded, cut off, or annihilated, but every hour they held slowed the German advance. General Eisenhower quickly realized the scale of the attack. Reinforcements rushed in from across France. Among them were the battle-hardened divisions of Patton's Third Army, pivoting north through icy roads to strike the German flank. But the center of the storm was Bastogne. Bastogne was a small Belgian town, but it was vital. 7 major roads met there. Whoever controlled Bastogne controlled the flow of troops and supplies. On December 19th, the 101st Airborne Division was rushed in to defend it. These paratroopers, already legends from Normandy and Holland, dug foxholes in the frozen ground. Soon they were surrounded. German tanks and infantry encircled Bastogne, cutting off all roads. Snow fell heavier. Ammunition and food ran low. Soldiers suffered frostbite in the trenches. On December 22nd, German envoys delivered an ultimatum: surrender or face destruction. General Anthony McAuliffe's reply became immortal. One word: nuts. The message was delivered back to the Germans. Confused, they asked for clarification. The answer came: it means go to hell. With that defiance, Bastogne held. Day after day, the defenders endured artillery barrages and repeated assaults. But they did not break. General George S. Patton, commanding the U.S. Third Army, had been preparing for this moment. In a feat of military maneuver, he wheeled his entire army north in just 48 hours, an almost impossible redeployment through ice and snow. On December 26th, Patton's spearhead broke through German lines and reached Bastogne. American tanks rolled into the battered town, greeted by exhausted but cheering paratroopers. The siege was lifted. The German advance had been stopped, even as Bastogne was relieved. The German offensive was unraveling. Fuel shortages crippled their tanks. American engineers destroyed bridges and fuel depots. Allied aircraft, once grounded by fog, returned to the skies, striking German columns from above. By early January 1945, the tide had turned. The Allies counterattacked from north and south, squeezing the Bulge closed. By January 25th, the front lines were restored. Offensive had failed. The Battle of the Bulge was the largest battle fought by the United States in World War II, over 600,000. Americans took part. 80,000 became casualties. The Germans lost 100,000 men, thousands of tanks and planes they could never replace. It was Hitler's last gamble, a desperate strike that achieved surprise, but not victory. 4 months later, the Reich was gone. Hitler was dead. The Allies stood in Berlin, but in the frozen forests of the Ardennes, the courage of ordinary soldiers had decided the fate of Europe. The Battle of the Bulge was not just the last great battle of the war. It was proof that even in the darkest winter, determination and unity can withstand the storm. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more.